going to meet them.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson,
Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian.
Enjoy.
welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and
Keith Cheatham.
And we've got a very frosty beverage in front of us.
Is it frosty?
It is. I haven't tasted it yet.
I was going to wait until you can actually hear it.
I don't feel frost. Just cold. There's no
Ooh,
frost
there
on
it
this
is.
can. You lied to me.
You needed a mug. I want a mug now.
You can make a can frosty.
Mmm.
Just like that.
Ooh, that's
oh, wow.
good, man.
It is really sweet, though.
It's fruity, but I like
It's
it.
very sweet.
Well, that's really good.
Here's the thing I like about Rheingeist.
Well, it is supposed to be it says a fruited ale.
I've never
so-
had Rheingeist Zango.
Me neither.
And I will say it is definitely not my favorite in terms of its fruitiness.
Mhm.
Oh, here, I'll get you, Sean. There it is. The Zango.
I like it. It's an ale
Type.
with apple, mango, and tangerine. I definitely,
it's- yeah,
I definitely
much-
taste
it's
that tangerine.
much fruitier than I thought
Much
it was gonna
fruit.
be.
Yes, exactly. But it is muted. It's like as soon as you taste it, you taste the flavors and the
I
fruit,
kind of thought that would.
and then it falls off.
When it said fruited ale, that's kind of what I pictured it would be. Something similar to a cider, but not quite. I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of a sour, but it's not quite sour.
Yeah.
Like I've had cherry sours that I love, and
It
this
kind of reminds
I
me,
don't
not
know.
flavor-wise.
Reminds me of
Summer shandy.
Reds or something.
Oh,
like
Reds
that.
apple
Now,
ale.
see, now that is
I've
that's a
got-
full-on
I've got
cider
summer
there.
shandy
Yeah.
at home, and I think that lemon taste
Yeah.
falls off really quick.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
okay.
just
Yeah, this is closer to, I guess, a cider like
It's
Red's
sweet.
apple ale, but
You,
it's
I mean,
not
you don't
quite
look like
there
you're
yet.
enjoying it. Do you like it?
Well, I've gotten used to
Real
not
beer? Real
tasting
beer.
like that.
I was gonna say.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
It's just not
Oh,
what I thought.
you probably wouldn't. Like, you should try a sour because it's like this, but like 10 times is like just sour and fruity. Like they're good. I like them. But
I was gonna say it's actually not bad. I'm enjoying the drink.
My problem with this is I can
I like
pound
it.
these back
Mm.
because it's sweet. I like sweet stuff, like sodas, and
Oh, which
Fruit juice.
actually that
I'm
reminds
afraid
me.
I would have too many of those.
Yeah.
I don't know if you. I was down at my brother's this weekend,
Yeah.
enjoying the fireworks, the mighty 4th of July, good
4th of
Independence
July.
Day, spending it with the fam.
freedom.
Freedom,
America.
America. We got all the victories here, okay? And everybody who's telling you out there to diss on America, will diss them, okay? They don't deserve any praise. They don't deserve any respect if
right.
they're dissing the 4th. But my brother did bust out some bourbon while I was down there. And
Well, I had some bourbon this weekend too.
I'm forgetting the exact name, but
Not
it was
me.
a honey bourbon.
Mm.
And it was actually
Hennessy.
no. It was actually I thought the same thing. I had my second thoughts because I'm like, he first gave me this. I'm forgetting the names. This is terrible.
To
I
be
should
fair,
have
the
asked
only
him.
honey bourbon I've ever had, and it's not particularly good, is Jim Beam honey.
No,
so,
no, it was not
yeah,
that. It wasn't
yeah.
that. But the first beer or bourbon he gave me was like 115 proof, and it was good, but it
Okay.
just wasn't smooth because
Yeah.
it's 115 proof.
Yeah.
So he brought out when I got down to the smaller, last little bit of it, he brought out this honey bourbon. He said, "We'll cut it with this," and poured it in there, and it was. I will say, I was skeptical because again, I'm like, flavored anything now.
Oh no, there are some
it depends.
really good flavored bourbons. It's funny because I mean it's still Jim Beam, but I actually the bourbon I drank all weekend I ended up making Washington Apples, Jacob's drink of choice,
There you go.
which is typically Crown Royal, apple pucker, and cranberry juice.
Pucker.
I
don't know about that word.
I go the
Pucker.
cheaper route rather than buying. Well, that's what it's
I
called,
know.
sour apple pucker. It's just a liqueur, but rather than
I
buying
love it
two
when you
different
say it,
liquors,
too.
I just do Jim Beam apple because it's got the sour apple and the bourbon rather than having to buy a whiskey and a apple liqueur, and it tastes exactly the same. So like we went through that whole bottle because I made.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I mean the amount of people there. It was me, my dad, Hunter, Charles, Michelle.
Okay, everybody was sharing. Everybody
and
was
Christina,
taking
yeah, all six. Like I made these for like my whole family.
Okay.
And they were like, "I need another one," and I'm like, "Okay," because we're gonna.
You
go
were the
through, we did, we went
bartender.
through the whole bottle. But,
bartender.
He's got the bar.
but I
so-
mean, at most, I think everybody had maybe like 2 or 3 drinks. So it's
Okay.
because I mean it wasn't a huge bottle. It's not like I bought it big, but I mean, yeah.
Well, you got to have enough to stay loose throughout the
Yeah.
evening.
Well,
I mean,
stay
come
loose.
on, yeah.
I was say we were there from like 2 to late at night shooting
It's
off
like-
fireworks.
Well, I was
so
gonna
it
say
was a
you
whole
gotta
day
have
event.
enough to where you're looking in the sky like,
Yeah. Well, no, I was
See fireworks
never.
before they start.
whoa!
I was say there was only 2 people there that were that lit, And I know you could already guess one of them. So
Wait, you got to name them again?
Well,
Everybody who was there.
all of my direct family,
Okay.
except for David. He doesn't normally come out of his house very often, and he had injured his arm at Ford.
He wasn't there?
So he wasn't there, but everyone else was there. So you had Hunter, Sharon, well, actually,
okay.
Cody. Yeah, you. As soon as I named them, you knew. But yeah, Cody wasn't there either. So it would have been Sharon,
Now
Hunter,
everybody else
Reggie,
does, too.
Charles, Michelle, Miranda,
Okay.
Kyle,
Yeah,
like
okay.
literally all of us. So
Well, I have to say,
just not Cody or David.
okay.
Yeah.
Good times.
But we had fun.
I was going to say, what about you, Sean? Did you have fun with the fam?
We did. Yeah, there wasn't any drinking involved.
Did you have any fun? You had
I
fireworks.
didn't even
though,
buy
didn't you?
fireworks this year.
Did you just enjoy
well,
everybody else's?
Yep, we had the neighborhood had
There
a
were
big fireworks
so
show.
But
many,
and
though.
this was your first time in the new neighborhood.
in a neighborhood.
Did they
Yeah.
disappoint?
No. We like Saturday night. Everybody got together in a court
Oh,
and had a cookout, and people
Really?
brought fireworks and stuff.
holy
so
crap.
it was pretty nice.
Did you meet everybody in the neighborhood?
I got to meet a lot of people that I didn't already know.
Yeah.
So
Any
I've-
single ladies?
No.
Just checking. Don't know why I asked.
No.
I was just like, we had some fireworks. We didn't have a lot. We don't have a lot of money, but I'm just the amount of fireworks I saw this year, just in general, was insane.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it rivaled Thunder over Louisville in,
Yeah,
in my parents'
the
neighborhood.
surrounding
Yes.
neighborhoods in that area were it was off the chain. It was
Well,
crazy.
we went to our buddy Jacob's on Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday.
Oh,
Saturday.
this was
I
more
always
than
forget because the third day is,
Yeah.
is what
Mhm.
throws me
Throws
off.
you off.
there was
Yeah.
more going on in my parents' neighborhood than just that Saturday night at Jacob's.
Oh, same.
So, yeah.
Same. It was
Yeah.
like my parents said it was crazy Saturday, Sunday night,
Yeah.
which we were down in
Just, I think
Bardstown. or not
Everyone's
Bardstown,
tired
but,
of being cooped
Bullitt
up, and
County.
they're ready to be able to go out and celebrate their freedom and do what they want to with their friends and family.
Absolutely.
So
After being
Yeah.
cooped up for a year,
Yeah.
you know, and I've just
let's
loved.
get out of the house, spend a couple
Blow some
$1,000 and blow
stuff
stuff.
up.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw your video. Your brother shooting the
I was
watermelon.
just saying,
Oh, yeah.
my brother and my dad and I, we went down there and we shot a watermelon. We bought a couple of cantaloupes, shot those, some seltzer waters. We put some food dye. It was just good old country
Nice.
time.
There you go.
It was awesome. Good times.
That's what you gonna do?
I did buy some really crap 9mm ammo, and now I know what it means to buy crap ammo.
Yeah.
So
They jam up?
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah.
And granted, I was able to reload them.
Yeah.
And then they fired, but it was like, you take it when you rack the gun and pop it out, and you look at it, and the end of the cap is already got a dent in it. You're a little scared.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
You don't want it to like.
I don't know.
The more broken in the gun gets, the more forgiving it will be with cheap ammo.
See, and oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe, and we were thinking it was probably range ammo. We bought it from we wanted to support local business.
Yeah.
And we were, it was right after church, so we went to celebrate our Second Amendment right, get some ammo, and it was like Midwest something, and I knew I'd seen it, and I was like, I don't know this brand. They had tons of it, and we were thinking they had a range.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, this is probably the range ammo that they pick up. They, repackage and, refill it and put the bullet in and, sell it. But it worked. But I would say I had a good, out of 50, I had a good 20 rounds that didn't fire.
That's
wow.
not-
It was
that's
awful.
really bad.
It was really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I fired them. I definitely made sure I used all
Yeah.
my ammo. But just be on the lookout out there
Mm-hmm.
and be on the lookout for movies.
Movies.
Movies. That's
Well,
right, guys.
We're talking about blowing stuff up. There was some gunfire and blowing stuff up in the movie we watched.
Yeah.
And it was all about, saving humanity from mass extinction,
I want
which
one
is
of those
similar
guns.
to Independence Day. So I mean, you kind of, it's America. Save humanity, because that's what humanity is. Nowhere else matters, just America.
Wow.
Well, no, I'm just trying to tie this into the 4th of July, and I couldn't.
You
So,
can't, and
you know.
honestly, I don't know where this movie fits, but I don't know. Well, let's dive into our review of this movie and talk about it. Afterward, we'll dive deeper. Here is our review of The Tomorrow War, Amazon original.
While streaming platforms do often offer high-caliber films and award-worthy movies, they just as often give us tripe that is akin to the straight-to-VHS DVD films of the 90s and early 2000s. And while straight-to-streaming no longer holds the same stigma as straight-to-VHS or DVD, sometimes it's easy to see why a film releases on Netflix or Amazon instead of in theaters. Even now, after a pandemic that forced most releases to be direct-to-streaming or else postpone a theatrical release, there are the movies that are so obviously cash grabs never meant to be projected onto the silver screen.
Then there's The Tomorrow War, a Skydance film set to be released in theaters by Paramount, only to be postponed due to COVID and picked up by Amazon, now available to stream on their platform. The Tomorrow War is a sci-fi action film about a war against an alien race to prevent humanity's extinction. But here's the kicker. The war hasn't happened yet, and instead is happening almost 30 years into the future. The year 2051 to be precise. The film focuses on former Green Beret and military biologist Dan Forrester, played by Chris Pratt, who is working as a teacher in present day when soldiers from the future arrive in the middle of the World Cup to announce the war between humanity and aliens dubbed the White Spikes is being waged in the future and humanity is losing. They have managed to create a way to travel to enlist the help of the past in defeating the enemies of the future. And through a series of news montages, the world governments conveniently believe the time travelers, and a worldwide draft soon ensues to send rank amateurs into the future to die. When Dan is drafted, he must leave his wife and daughter, Muri, behind, but he discovers more waiting for him in the future than just an alien enemy. And it is up to Dan to save the future and his family. The Tomorrow War was a film made to be played on the big screen, but it ended up precisely where it belonged. Red Moon has reviewed quite an unusual amount of mediocre sci-fi films this year, and to be fair, The Tomorrow War may be the least mediocre among all of them. Yet still it feels right at home as a straight-to-video film, rather than one meant to be seen in the theater. The premise is actually a good one and could have been unique. The idea of humanity facing mass extinction and coming to the past to prevent the future isn't exactly new and is the main premise of Terminator, but to actually enlist the past to fight in the future war was intriguing. The plot points to make this happen, however, are completely nonsensical. And eventually, when we get to the main reveal of why Dan is enlisted in the first place, you realize the only thing that matters is him getting to the future, making the plotline of enlisting all the world's citizens of the past a pointless one. In fact, that's my biggest problem of the film, is there are a lot of pointless characters and plot lines, and most of them are very generic. The most intriguing plot points regarding the future war and Dan and his daughter Muri could have been expanded upon and given more depth. But instead we focused on a lot of things that add very little to the overall plot, such as Dan's father James, played by the great J.K. Simmons, a character who's fun to watch thanks to Simmons' brilliant performance, but serves almost zero purpose in the plot. He is meant to create a comparison between the rift between Dan and his father and the possible rift between Dan and his family, and how learning to heal one may heal the other, which is a solid way to tell an emotional story, but being such a non-character we have no emotional connection to, the point doesn't land. In fact, most of the emotional storytelling is sacrificed for stereotypical characterizations, humor, and action. The film suffers from too many plot points jumping from one to the next to eventually land us at such a basic plot and theme that you wonder why the movie spent an hour just to get to the main point. What's worse is while meandering and pointless, the film is still just an average sci-fi movie with enjoyable moments up to this point. But once you've gotten an hour and a half into the film, past the useless plot points and well into the main crux of the film, you come to a point where the film climaxes and Dan, for all intents and purposes, saves the day, only for you to realize there's still 30 minutes of the movie left. And then the film proceeds to give us another 30 minutes of plot we didn't need, because how else can Hollywood shoehorn global warming into the plotline? Ultimately, The Tomorrow War is not a compelling film from start to finish. It has some compelling moments and an interesting premise. Pratt is his usually humorous and quirky self, and J.K. Simmons performs spectacularly as always, but neither are enough to salvage a film with nothing unique to give, other than its premise and little focus. I give The Tomorrow War 2 out of 4 stars.
2 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, it's dos.
For The Tomorrow War.
So it's on par with
Yeah,
F9.
Well, I mean, apparently, according to your review.
I just
But
poured
we
beer out.
Did you? You gotta
Oh my
show
gosh.
that.
I
You
mean,
just spilled it all over.
I just, it's just this little I can't show it on a
Suck-
camera.
you better
It's
suck
just a
that up.
tiny little puddle there. I did not mean to do that.
That was like a nickel's
Wow.
worth of beer right there.
It was. He's got a hole in his chin.
Oh, he's doing it.
Ooh.
Oh, he didn't do it.
I
tried.
swear.
You gotta
There's
get
too
your-
many crevices.
Get your mouth on there good like a sucker fish.
I'm on the white.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a towel.
You gotta pucker those lips.
It's mostly kind of clean now.
I'll go get you a paper towel.
Thank you.
Is
I'll
it?
be right
Oh,
back.
is it too wet over there?
Yeah.
Well, I
Sean's-
can't leave it. Yeah, I don't want to.
It's just kind of funny because I think like your head went down and I'm like, it looked like you were doing like a line of coke. It's like, what's he going down there for? Let's talk about the movie.
Yeah, now I done forgot where I was going with whatever point I was.
Okay,
oh,
so you said
I
2 out of 4.
F9.
Yeah,
It was
2
on
out of 4 stars.
I was going to say that it.
We've graded 2 stars, and we've always said there's different values.
I did not hate this movie. In fact, I was going to give it 2.5 stars until the last 30 minutes that I felt were completely unnecessary. I do think it's funny. I was entertained more by F9, but I do think, despite some of the flaws of this movie, it did have more logic than F9. But you don't expect the Fast and the Furious movies to have
okay,
logic.
I'm glad you
that's a lot
laughed.
to say because that's like it has aliens
Yeah.
and it has more logic than F9.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Yeah.
I disagree, but we'll get into that in just a sec.
I mean, there's problems I definitely had with it, but there was never a point where I thought it broke what they set up in the movie, as opposed to them shooting Tyrese Gibson and Ludacris out into space. So, I mean,
Right.
And again, I was more entertained by F9. I just thought, for me, I would have settled with that 2.5 if they hadn't kept going. Like there's a point in the movie where you think, oh, he saved the future, and then I was actually talking to Brandon. He had texted me, and I was like, oh, I've only got like a few minutes left of this movie. He just did this. And Brandon's like, oh, no, you have a half hour left. And I was like, what do you mean? He just saved the world, the future. And he's like, no, he's got to go back and save the future. I was like, he just did.
No, he's got to save it for real and save his family. That's what he's really doing.
Yeah, I was the last 30 minutes really killed.
You could do
what
without.
little was there anyway.
Well, let me ask you all that. Okay, no. Well, Sean, first off, what did you rate it?
Same, 2.
2?
Yeah.
So if it had ended a half hour earlier, and again, no spoilers,
I mean,
you can
it's
go
still
check it out.
2.5. Yeah.
Would you say so? Y'all would say 2.5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I am actually giving this movie 1 out of 4 stars.
Yeah. You
Wow.
did not like it.
I hated this movie.
Wow.
I thought of all the sci-fi movies reviewed this year so far, this one was the best. I mean, that's not saying a lot, but it's still better than Chaos Walking,
No,
Anna Kendrick's garbage movie,
Oh,
George Clooney's garbage movie.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't nearly as bad as was that Midnight Sky?
Yeah, that was
Midnight
George
Sky.
Clooney's.
What was
Anna Kendrick's the one where they have to get the oxygen
Stowaway.
Stowaway.
Oh,
yeah.
that's okay.
Without the stowaway.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was a dumbass
Now,
movie.
to be fair, that one I did miss, so I
He
can't.
said that was a dumb astronaut movie. No, that was not a good movie. No. No, I agree with Keith. I actually gave it the same rating until when they go off into the ice or Russia. When they go to Russia, that's when I was just kind of like, this is completely unnecessary. And then not only that, it went from being kind of it's aliens, it's not realistic, but it went from being a good sci-fi movie, and it turned into a little bit more of something I felt like The Rock should have been in. Like when you have somebody punching the alien, stuff like that.
When he's
I was
fist
like,
fighting the alien,
that was when it got really sideways for me.
I told him when he jumped on his back. I was done.
Yeah.
I
And
was
that,
done
to me,
before
that's
that.
no different than him riding a raptor in a Jurassic Park movie.
Yes,
Like
yeah.
I'm just like that's.
Well, he hasn't done that yet.
No, he hasn't yet, but I think he's going
He
to.
needs to.
He's working up to it.
They're going
I wanna
Grand Theft
see.
Raptor.
Yeah.
It's coming.
But yeah, the last half hour, and it's sad because one of the movies that I have like touted to you guys for you to see is the Greenland movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't need a sequel, by the way. But if you get about 3 minutes before the end of that movie, just shut it off. and it is a great movie.
Which 3 minutes
But,
is a far cry
it's
from
better
30
than 30.
minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's like, what are they with some of these films? It makes me wonder. It's just like when you're writing this and you get to such a good climax and a good ending to a story, and then you add this last little bit, if you can call a half hour a little bit, and it's like, what were they? I don't understand what they were thinking with it. It just wasn't necessary at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the same boat. I was looking at I'm sitting up late watching this, and I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, it's got to be over soon.
Yeah.
and it finally, you get to you're just like, yes, he did it. He, it sucks about his daughter, but he saved the future, and he's going to go back and do this and that. And it's just like,
Well, they physically show you what he goes back and does.
Yeah,
I thought,
it's
I
like,
thought it's
what?
like he's going to go back. He has, spoiler alert, he has this toxin that's supposed to basically save the day. And it's like, okay, he's going to go back to the past.
They couldn't end on the sad
And he's like,
note.
it's like,
Yeah.
I have this and it'll save the future. And I thought that's how it ended. Instead, it's like, no, I'm going to use this to go save the future.
Yeah.
And show how he does it for a half hour. And
Well, not even just that, but the reasoning behind having to have that extra half hour, the
Yeah.
fact that he brings it back, and then they have to go into this whole spiel about, oh no, the government doesn't want to listen to you. It's like you're the one who drafted people and sent us to do this, and now when we get back, you're gonna say, I don't really believe you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that was kind of stupid. And it didn't make any freaking sense. If they would have just ended the damn movie when it was supposed to end, it
for
would have
me,
been fine.
he gets back. He sees like his wife, like where everybody's waiting for all of these troops to come back from the future, and like they have this moment. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of a decent wrap up. And that's when Brandon's like, no, it has 30 more minutes left. And I'm like, what do they do for 30 more minutes? And the next scene, he's going to this high school where this kid's talking about volcanoes, and I'm like, wow, like
yeah.
Well,
The whole thing is like his wife in the movie. She is a counselor for people with PTSD. And when he gets back, like she has been counseling people who have been there and come back.
Yeah.
And then when he gets back and comes home and his daughter is talking to him, and you can see in his face that he's
traumatized.
He's traumatized. And I'm like, if they go down that road, I really thought they were. I was like, now they're going to spend more time showing the fact that he can't even be the husband, and then what was predicted in the future world is going to come true
that's where
about them falling
J.K.
apart.
Simmons finally came into play, because it's like he was kind of, you had him at the very beginning of the movie, and then he does nothing until the very end where it comes
you
back.
just know he's the estranged father.
He comes back into play, and the whole point, like whole purpose of him is to kind of create this comparison of the rift between Chris Pratt and him, and the rift that might happen between Chris Pratt and his family, and how like healing one kind of helps him heal the other. And I was like, I got all that.
Yeah.
That actually would have been a decent theme for the whole movie.
Yeah,
but it's not clear until like the last 30 minutes.
No.
I mean, Sean, I have to go pretty much right off the. I mean, the half hour part, even before that, I was already out of it. I mean, from the very get go. I basically did a cardinal sin, which is I obviously tout on the show not to compare certain films to others. But after you've seen so many films,
sometimes you can't help it.
You can't help it. Not to mention there are directors out there who specifically put certain tropes in films because they know you have seen it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the idea of culture in general, is that you kind of take what you've learned in the past and you kind of morph it and conform it into something that's relevant but also somewhat unique and different for now.
Yeah.
This movie failed on every aspect of that level. Every single thing they did, as far as the science, as far as like, I mean, whatever plot point they thought they were going to start heading down, they tried to, I guess, think about it in the writer's room and say, well, we eventually know this road's going to lead here and this road's going to lead, so we got to go this path, so let's just shoehorn it that way. And so then that's when you get a montage of news clips that look so half-baked done, look terrible, look like some kid on YouTube filmed them, explaining, oh, the war now for the world is going to start in 30 years, and we're drafting these adults, and these adults mindlessly walking through lines like they're at an amusement park to get these. It was so ridiculously over the top. I'm sorry, call me sexist, but I thought the tinge of, women leadership in the military at this point was also a little bit too much.
I never gave that a second thought.
And that's fine. That's fine. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad you all didn't. I did, especially when the girl racks the freaking machine gun, torso, throat. Yeah, moment, hear me roar. And I'm just like, okay, I don't give a shit. I get it. I understand what you're going for. I know the angle you're playing here of women are strong. I understand it. But not only was it just that they were women, all these people were young, and then they play off this trope of, oh, well, they haven't been born yet in the future, so they came back here to tell us what these adults are going to. I'm like, if I'm an adult, other than that being my kid, I'm going to be like, well, screw you guys. You all are... I lived my life.
Actually...
Deuces. I ain't fighting for you all.
I agree, but
I don't
actually...
understand
But
that.
what if it's your kid, though?
But that's what I just said. Even unless I know for a fact that it's my kid, which, we know
and
Pratt,
that may have been
Pratt has some skin in the game.
Right, yeah.
But at the end of the day, especially once he gets there and finds out the horrible truth that was, and it's like... I just felt like there was no reason for them to truly put this threat in motion. And then that was what boggled my mind. Other than this one world event that happens during the World Cup. So now everybody apparently just jumps on board and believes it. And instead of actually focusing on what I think would have been an interesting, I told Keith, I said, well, this really should have been it should have been like an 8-part or an 8 season series.
And I could see that.
And this could have been fleshed out in so many different ways where it actually is conceivable why we got from point A to point B. No, just like when they're explaining, well, it's like 2 rafts, and we're on this one, and then this one's in the future, and we
can
can't
jump from one to the other.
And so basically, they just threw out all the interesting crap of this premise and said, "No, it only works this way."
Yeah,
I didn't like the raft explanation. I did actually. To rebuttal the young thing, I think it could have been done better, but I did actually like that plot point in the fact that their whole point was they had to send somebody. You can't have 2 people on the same person in the same timeline because it creates a paradox. So they had to send people who hadn't been born yet to the past in order to teach them. But
so
I think they could have.
Yeah,
I think they could have fleshed that out better rather than just making a joke between Chris Pratt and
I
the
completely
guy.
agree. I mean, that was the thing. There were in the first half hour. They rushed through so much of what they wanted to set up just to tell the story they wanted to tell that in my mind, I was like, you all introduced all these premises that could have been like individual movies on their own.
Yeah.
And you could have literally told that one story in a whole movie, but you just had this like huge, gigantic story for whatever freaking reason that you wanted to tell about this guy, like you said in your review. We got the messages, we understand the themes, but why you wanted to shoehorn that in this 2 hour and 15-minute movie and get to that climax, I'm like, no, I didn't care for the characters. I didn't care for the science fiction aspect of it. I thought it was overdone. The moment, it was funny. Keith's sitting here right before he records the review and had a better plot premise in like 2 seconds. I swear, he came up with it on top of his head. He just sits there and he's like, yeah, I thought they were going to get there in the future, and then all of a sudden they were going to find out they're like fighting themselves and they're fighting other people.
I really thought the government was
crap.
lying to them the whole time, and when they got to the future, what they were being told was a lie, and like they would be revealed they were actually fighting this other enemy that the government was lying to, but that never happened because it just what they were explaining with the civilian soldiers just didn't make any sense to me. I was like, I know you're trying to force into the plot that it has to be these people with no experience,
right,
but I just never bought it. So I really thought there was some other motive going on until you get to the future and you realize, oh no, that really was they just wanted to have cannon fodder in the movie, so they had to have these civilians along with Chris Pratt and the other soldier that knew what he was doing.
Yeah, that's what I kind of told Keith. I was like, it feels like they come back into the past where there's 8 billion people on the planet, knowing that there's just bodies that we can send to the future alongside the ones who are actually going to lead and accomplish our mission for us. So, yeah, we're not going to give you any time to train. We don't want you to have time to train. We want these people to succeed, and some of these people just happen to be random bodies that are going to be thrown at these things to distract them long enough for Chris Pratt and the other guy to do their thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that makes sense.
But even
if
if
you're
they had
thinking of it from a
explained
government
that,
perspective, the government doesn't give a crap about you. You're just a number. You're just a body. So they're going to send you back. I mean, they didn't even calculate things to the right way to where they didn't splatter on top of rooftops and stuff.
Right.
Well,
no,
actually,
that
was an error.
It was
an
an
error, but still,
but that's what I'm
cool.
saying.
I thought that was great. I'm just like, dang, some of these people are just falling right into death.
That was the
I
thing
love
that
the visual.
I didn't mind it, but again, it was just this, oh no, what's happening? And then this error happens, and I'm like,
they said you'll land 10 to 5 feet above the ground, and then all of a sudden there's a problem. Now they're 80 feet above the ground.
But yet all the main stars land in the same
swimming pool.
Well, of course.
So,
exactly. And then that, along with the tense moments of them walking around looking for these creatures, I thought the creature design was terribly bland and just like, okay, how many CGI characters or creatures do I have to? This is literally
they should have just made them
Super 8 mixed
giant.
with A Quiet Place mixed with. I'm like, I don't care about CGI monsters anymore.
Yeah.
Like the moment that I saw the opening scene and him land in the pool, I thought, okay, this is not going to be some quaint movie, which I didn't watch the trailer. And after watching the trailer, I was like, I would have not been as rudely awakened. But I really did. I kept thinking as it started out, I was like, oh, well, maybe this will be about him going to the future. And again, there being something else other than monsters. No, it's monsters. Oh, there's explosions. We're going down a hallway and turning a corner. I wonder if something, it jumped out and scared me, but it didn't because I knew it was coming. I just hated it. I hated every second of it. It was cliche after cliche after cliche.
One thing I loved about like Alien and even Aliens, which was more action oriented, was that you didn't see them all the time. Like even in the sequel, which had like them fighting hundreds of them, like they still
in a dark corridor.
Yes,
and the only time you see them is from the flash of their guns.
This movie, every time they were shooting at them, they did close-up shots of these creatures on the walls getting shot at, and I'm like, why do we constantly need to see just their face with bullets flying past them?
Yeah.
Like, I hated the close-up shots.
And Keith, you had actually brought it up too. You had talked about how convenient it was that they had this firing mechanism.
Oh, their spikes bothered me because sometimes they would be shooting a whole barrage, like they're shooting ARs at these people, and you just see all these spikes flying. And then when they're like fighting the female and trying to get her in this cage, which just has metal bars, at which her tentacles could still come out of the sides of these bars and shoot spikes at them, she never once fires one at them. And I'm like, okay, why is she's stuck in this cage?
Yeah.
She's pissed because she can't get out. You don't think she's like, I'm going to shoot these and
once
start
they get
people?
her to where they store her, they do have like a muzzle
They
on
did.
her,
Yes.
on her tail.
They did.
On her, on those things. But my thing was like they've got to be able to. There has to be time for them to generate those spikes.
Yeah.
They're not just an endless supply. Like it's a bone, basically.
Right.
So there's got to be
they
a
were
cool
shooting
down
them off
period
like
that
nothing.
would-
It
their body would have to But I don't know. I'm getting into the physiology of or the biology of these aliens that I don't really care. They could have been giant lobsters for all I care. I don't really care what they looked like. I thought they were scary enough to make them a threat, and there were enough of them to be a threat. What let me down with the fact that they were from another world was when you get to the end and you find out they're just cargo. And I'm like, that's fine, but I would have rather them been fighting the people driving the ship than the cargo that was on the ship, because if I go into the woods and I have a gun and I'm being chased or attacked by a pack of wolves, that's not a war, right? I don't understand why they called it the Tomorrow War. It wasn't a war.
They were facing extinction.
Well,
it wasn't
they
a
were
war with
facing
these creatures.
extinction. I just didn't like the fact that it wasn't really a war. You're fighting animals, basically.
That's still, if those animals have a sentience enough to do what they did and almost wipe out humanity,
they're
that
just
is a
there
war.
to eat. That's all they were there. It wasn't a war to them. They weren't.
I mean,
taking
I was gonna
over.
say,
They were just
but
there
it was
to
a
eat.
war to us.
I
mean,
get it.
a war to
I
it
just
kind of
didn't,
was, like
but-
they said that they alluded that like they weren't just cargo. They were weapons.
Battle Los Angeles
they
is
said
a terrible
they were.
freaking movie,
They-
but at least it was actually a war.
But they
Like,
did
I mean,
say in the movie that these things, they're not animals, they're weapons. They're intentionally taken to planets to clear the planet out.
Well,
so
All I know is I hated the
how
movie
they knew
so
they were
much.
intentionally taken
I'm gonna give
there.
credit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
give credit to Sean. I think he's right. It's not a war just because I hated the movie so much.
I mean, I don't know. I would watch it again. I would learn a lesson from other films like this and like Greenland and some other movies that I would. Now that I know where it should end, I'm just gonna turn the movie off there. And,
There you go.
and enjoy it for what it could have been.
Well, you need to, after you turn it off, be like, you know what? When
This
we
is
talk
what
about
really
it,
happened.
when we talk about it on the show, be like, well, that was my truth.
Yeah.
My truth was it ended there.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's it.
That's what I do with Scrubs. Scrubs ends at season 8.
There you go.
Yeah.
There is
I
no
think
season 9.
everybody
Yeah.
would recognize that. But I just thought there were so many good ideas in this film. From the idea of just that was what pissed me off. I think the most was because they went the path they did.
Unrealized.
Unrealized idea. Unrealized. It really was. It was
Yeah.
a piece of shit movie.
Oh, wow.
That was not realized.
I wouldn't go that far.
1 out of 4 stars. Don't see it.
Oh my
Our
gosh.
official rating was 2 out
2
of 4.
out of 4. If you got a sci-fi itch, it might scratch
It's
it.
an
I think,
Amazon
you know.
original movie. That's how I look at it.
There you
Well,
go.
it was.
I mean, it was in theaters.
It was
I
supposed
get-
to go to
I was supposed
theaters.
to go to
It
theaters,
just
but
didn't.
I
But
just don't. Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
I mean,
It's
look,
Chris Pratt. That's 2 stars for
I
me.
was gonna say.
I mean, he was with his shirt off. Like, I was just like, well, I'm sold.
Yep.
Turn it off right now.
Oh, I didn't even
Yeah.
talk about the volcano and the
Oh,
J.K.
God.
Simmons kid.
Yes.
I mean, just another plot point. Oh,
Yeah.
Conveniently, we're gonna throw them
Yeah,
out
no,
there.
that was
too.
really bad.
Just
Yeah,
terrible.
this kid has an unhealthy knowledge of volcanoes.
well,
I'm
not
like,
even
what
that.
in the
I'm sitting here
world?
thinking it's like, okay,
They
you have
literally
all
had to
these.
shoehorn it into the movie.
Well, my problem with
and
that
it was like, so we. I mean, it was so relevant enough at the beginning of the film that you're like, okay, I know this is gonna come back at some point.
at some point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he's the only kid in the entire class talking about anything.
Yeah.
But my
That's it.
biggest problem was they said they had scientists and teams searching all over Russia and couldn't find the ship. And it's like, none of them thought to dig down into the ice. I mean, I've seen tons of sci-fi movies. The
Right.
Thing, they're always under the ice.
Yeah.
That may be my first
Noah's
thing.
Ark is under ice. I mean, God,
my
we know
fir-
where it is.
my-
We just can't get it.
My first
We
thought
gotta
would
wait
be
till global warming melts it, and then we can finally
Dude,
find it.
Wouldn't that be a good movie if Noah's
global
Ark
warming melted
thaws,
Noah's Ark, and it
Yeah.
comes
and it comes
floating
out,
and that's
then-
how it saves
no,
humanity.
And then
we
there's
all
these
boarded.
frozen animals that come back to life that are freaking like
And dinosaurs.
prehistoric.
Yeah,
Oh
dinosaurs.
my
But
think about it.
gosh,
What
that's
if-
Jurassic World 3.
Everything melts from global
That would
warming.
be freaking
No, I-
amazing.
I like this idea. Everything melts from global warming, and humanity's doomed. But because the Ark thaws out, humanity's saved because survivors can
Only
get on
some.
the Ark.
Only
Yeah.
some.
Yeah,
The good ones.
dude, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
just turns into freaking the day after tomorrow.
It
I'm
would
just
be.
saying.
It would only be the people who believe
If
in
they had a
global
team
warming,
of real scientists
which would
working
be
on
enough
this,
people to fit on the Ark,
yeah,
There you go.
because there's that few of us.
it
And
just
then
bothers
sinks.
me that
And God's like, got rid of you, didn't I?
it just bothered me that they had a whole team of scientists that couldn't figure out the volcanic ash, but this kid in high school
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
was my thing. Even when he in the future is there with his daughter, and it's supposed to be this bonding moment while they try to bond the compound to
James
figure out.
Bond.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I thought that was
60% bond.
Yeah, I'm like,
75% bond. I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
There's,
not only
there's
that, but I'm
trial
like,
and error.
we haven't seen any performance whatsoever from him as a scientist. Neither her. It's just
He's a high school teacher.
We just have the background that he was
Yeah.
a military scientist.
Yeah,
that
biologist.
didn't get the big job, and
Yeah.
then we just see this scene of them bonding, and are the Miami Dolphins still suck? Oh, we're doing science over here, and it's like we're just supposed to accept it. It literally is as ridiculous
hey,
as F9.
It had a 100%
Logic
bond.
works. Family.
100% bond. That's
100%
right.
bond.
Yeah, because you know why? We're family.
And you know what?
That's what really
You
matters.
don't check to make sure it actually works because you can't waste it. You have to take it back because that bothered me too. It's like I feel like they would have tested a little bit to make sure that
They
it
didn't
was
have time.
It's like
Yeah.
The mother woke up and they were under attack.
yeah,
Yeah.
100% bond. You get it back to the past, and they go to Russia, and
That
it
would've
doesn't
been
work.
even better.
Doesn't work.
Well, crap.
And then
Well,
they
my
woke him up
thing-
30.
It's all right. We'll
Then they
just-
woke him up 30 years early.
Yeah.
they caused extinction.
Well, I was
faster.
gonna say they didn't even end up using all the serum because they busted out, and then they have to fight them with their bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they still could have won.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
True. If they knew where to look, they didn't even need the freaking. All they had to do was do like they did with her,
Well, I
punch
love
her
that
off a
too.
cliff.
It's like we're gonna drive out here in the Arctic. We're looking for this. What's wrong with your gauges? Are they all messed up? It's like I wonder if this is the spot.
X marks the spot.
Oh man! Oh, it is.
Yep.
This
last
is where
half
they're
hour.
at.
Sucks.
So bad. All right, guys, we're moving on.
Brandon's
That's it.
done.
I disagree. You
Sorry.
should watch it.
It's terrible.
We got another microchip moment.
I really
no,
could.
it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
that
There's
bad.
there's nothing to
No.
not understand in this
No.
movie.
I would say Arrival.
There's either you like it or you don't.
I'll
That's
admit,
it.
Arrival's way better than this.
I was gonna say there's nothing that you cannot like.
Yeah, no.
If you don't understand this movie, you're just
Arrival
stupid.
keeps you guessing. It at least doesn't think you're dumb.
It has some intellectual. Let me say it does have some intellectual part. This movie, yeah.
All right, I guess we're ready to
Okay.
move on to our headlines. Let's roll that beautiful open.
Oh, it's loud.
I'm telling you, it's better every
The dog
week.
flips out every time you all do
Every
that.
time.
Every time.
She's like, "What are y'all doing?" We're like, "We're scatting."
Well, it's funny you said.
Don't mess with me.
Don't you
scat, man.
Don't mess with my disco, Nadine. You said she flips out every time. It reminds me, my mom was telling us about my aunt's old dog, who she would, during the fireworks on 4th of July, she would find this part of the fence and run and flip over it constantly and do backflips because she was so scared of the fireworks. So she just went nuts.
Oh man.
Alrighty, guys, we got good headlines.
What's in the headlines
Well,
today?
the unfortunate, dismal director of Wonder Woman 84 had some nice inquiries.
She's 50-50. She's had.
Yeah.
She also the terrific director
true.
of Wonder Woman. So
True.
you know,
Very,
Yeah.
very true.
we
Wonder
don't know.
Woman's exceptional.
I saw that actually. That was I laughed because she had an article talking about Rogue Squadron, and someone on Facebook commented, "Well, I don't know if I'm looking forward to this movie yet or not because I don't know which Patty Jenkins we're going to get." And it's like that's a fair point.
That is a fair point.
True.
But she was talking about in a recent article to the Hollywood Reporter. She was being asked about the streaming and theatrical same day releases.
Yeah.
And something we've covered quite a lot on this show, and even some of the points she raised we've talked about on this show. And she does not believe...
She probably listened to our show. All her points she stole from us.
She probably knows that Wonder Woman 84 sucked because she listened to this show.
Yeah.
I mean, how else would she know? She trusts us.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people trust our opinions here on the
she
Red
got to
Room
make the
podcast.
movie she wanted to make.
That's true.
And that's what's scary.
Yes, Wonder Woman 84. She wanted that. So the real question on the table is, do you all agree with her?
No, I mean, I agree definitely that that people aren't going to subscribe to all these streaming services.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. I am not going to. I'm the first person to dish out a monthly payment for something that's going to serve me well, something that's going to entertain me. But there's no way. It's just like the other night I wanted to watch I wanted to watch Independence Day Resurgence. I was like, the first one's good. I want to watch the really bad one. Just like sit up late, laugh, and then fall asleep to it.
Yeah. There you go.
And it's like you can't. I had to subscribe to Peacock to watch it. And
Really?
It's just like, it was only on Peacock.
Who owns? I forget who owns that. The rights to that.
Is it Universal? Because that's Peacock.
Is that Peacock?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well,
yeah.
all right.
I ended up watching the first one, but I wanted to watch that one, and the only way I could get it was if I was on Peacock, and I'm like, I'm not doing Peacock. There's nothing on there that I want to watch. I downloaded Boss Baby,
WWE.
but you had to have Peacock to get Boss Baby too.
I'm not. Yeah, I forgot that one did streaming
That
and
streamed
theaters
on-
same day.
Yeah.
On Peacock they advertised it.
Yeah.
Well, but okay, so already
Universal.
That's actually a big movie, I think, in terms of animation.
Yeah.
It's
It is. I have no interest in it, but I mean, it is a big.
It's not that good.
But
I-
that's
I,
the
I
thing,
could
but-
tell from the trailer.
But did you get it because your kids wanted to watch it? Yeah.
I watched it, but I mean, I didn't like it. The first one with Alec Baldwin doing the voice was hilarious.
Alec Baldwin returned to do this voice, didn't he?
I didn't hear him in this movie.
I could have swore he came back to voice the baby.
Well, maybe I slept through some of it. It was all girl babies from what I saw.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Did
Yeah.
it change up the plot entirely?
No, because they turned him back into a little kid, him and his brother, to help his brother's daughter, who's the baby in this one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
according to the trailer.
That's the
Yeah.
premise.
Again,
So
it
Alec
wasn't a-
Baldwin's an
It
adult
wasn't
now,
a good movie,
but he gets. But they have some magic baby formula that makes him a baby again.
Oh,
So stupid.
maybe I guess I didn't get that far. I
Even-
have not seen the whole thing.
Here's the thing.
I'll admit that.
Even that premise makes
didn't
more
like it.
sense than the Tomorrow War.
Wow.
Well, the whole thing is kind of like, what's the Baby Geniuses, where these babies like they save the world and
Yeah.
such. So
Okay.
yeah,
But here's the thing. If that is funny though that you mentioned that, because that was going to be my follow-up question. Because we've talked about that at length on the show, how just the amount of subscription services and how much you have to pay. I mean, damn, it's going to be a freaking cable bill, but before you know it,
well, more than that.
more
Yeah.
than that.
Oh yeah.
So really, are we to blame the streaming service or the fact that you have the streaming services that are supplied by these production studios that want to shoehorn their theatrical release into the streaming service? Now, granted, they may come back and say, well, that's why you have the theater. If you want to go see it in the theater, we still have that availability.
it's definitely a way to drive subscriptions to streaming services. It's like, hey, you can watch this movie if you subscribe, and when you're Disney, you say, hey, you can watch this movie when you subscribe and pay an extra $30.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
I don't.
ripoff to me.
I don't agree that. I do think they're going to continue. I don't think they're going to be as large spread as they are now as theaters reopen. Like, obviously, your bigger movies. But I do think, Disney has even said as much, that they're all in on the streaming thing. So I do think there's going to be certain movies that they think, hey, if we can make a little extra money by doing theater and streaming same day. And a part of this also has have to go with whatever deals they have with theaters. Because during streaming, theaters already fought against it. They're going to fight even harder now that I said during streaming, but during the pandemic, I mean. And right now, I think once the pandemic's over, it pretty much is over, theaters are going to fight even harder. Be like, oh, no. People can come back to the theaters. We don't think you should be putting your movie in theaters and streaming same date and day.
Well, and it's funny because I would agree. However, I do believe that because of movies such as Godzilla vs. Kong and, the fact that we've now seen, yes, I think when you put it on a spectacular scale like HBO Max, where you've had their entire year's theatrical run released, we still don't know about Doom.
I don't think that'll continue, and they've kind of already basically said as
no,
much.
they absolutely, they confirmed it won't last beyond this year. However, you're talking about way bigger heavy hitters there, whereas I absolutely believe that even if you're not getting the success that you think you are on streaming for maybe Boss Baby, or even another film like F9 that you may say, well, you can go to theaters and see it, where obviously F9's doing well. It's now the 5th highest grossing franchise in the world, and it raked in over $500 million.
It's
globally.
Great.
So it's doing fantastic, considering we're still on the cusp of getting out of the pandemic. Everything is still sort of getting back to normal. But what I find interesting is, why wouldn't they put certain properties on streaming services to say, hey, go and subscribe here, and this actually drives you to their service to subscribe, and maybe you'll see all our other content.
Like I said, Disney's already admitted that they're still going to have some movies that go theater and streaming same day. I think other companies will follow suit. I mean, Universal
but
did
Disney
it with Boss
did
Baby.
say that their whole. Remember at the beginning of the pandemic when they said, well, this just speeds up our goal.
Yeah, they said that was always they said it's inevitable. It was production studios are going there. It's just the pandemic hurried it along. So I don't think it'll disappear entirely. I do think next year, just like Warner Brothers are not releasing every major release on HBO Max and theaters, I do think they're going to toe back on it some, because they still want that box office money. I mean, look at F9.
Yeah.
It's making bank right now.
Yeah.
Black Widow, we pre-ordered and it was already half sold out a week ago. So I can't imagine by this Thursday.
That's actually the first movie that we've purchased tickets for that the theater was
packed,
filling up.
So it's like I do think people are eager to go back to the theater, and I think big blockbuster movies like the Furious franchise or Marvel or whatever Warner Brothers releases that's not DC, because that's garbage.
You know, I didn't chime in a lot towards the beginning of the conversation because I was adding up the cost of all of the streaming services, and right now the way things stand, if you add up Netflix, Amazon, because that's $120 a year. I put it down as $10 a month.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you got Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, and Hulu combined.
I would do
You've
that.
got Apple, and you've got Paramount, Universal, and
Peacock.
and I didn't even add Peacock into it.
HBO Max.
I added HBO Max into it. It's about $85 a month.
Yeah, that sounds
all
right.
together.
Yeah.
That's about the same
So
as a
you
cable
add Peacock
package.
into
So
that, then you're looking at closer to $90
Well,
something
and here's
a
the
month.
thing: does that also include the tiers in terms of the highest paid tier?
Now, I did the highest paying.
Okay,
tier,
without
yeah.
the commercials.
Yes,
because
I
that would
did
only
that.
make it worthwhile, really.
Yeah.
But also, it's funny you talk about that, because even some of those in there, we've talked about how some of the reasons you may want to subscribe to a certain channel is for the old nostalgia of the larger back catalog.
Yeah.
Where your heavy hitters like HBO and Disney have that. Then you have the newcomers like Netflix who have the back catalog of a bunch of stuff that they're now losing to other streaming services since they've got their own, but also their own content that they're pushing. And so what I think is funny is, when we start to see a dominant front runner, such as Disney Plus, who we think, I think it's safe to say that really is the only I think service that competes with Netflix in terms of dominance as far as back catalog, and it appeals to the widest audience.
Well, HBO Max is catching up. They're not there yet, but they actually have gotten better.
HBO's pissing me off though, because it's like we go and see a movie like F9 that's touted by HBO Max and it's touted in the theaters, and it's like I told you guys, I came home and I was like, I'm gonna watch through these movies.
It's not a Warner Brothers own property.
You can only watch 2 of them on
Yeah,
HBO.
exactly.
The rest of them you got to watch in
It's
5 different other places.
fractured.
It's because HBO had contracts with certain companies for those movies to be on HBO, so they're still on HBO Max.
Yeah.
But once that contract's up, they don't own the rights to Fast and the Furious because that's a Universal property. So
and
it'll go
that's
away.
also
Another
something,
streaming service
but
I
that's
gotta
what's
get to
going to be
watch those
changing.
movies.
That's what's going to be changing, because as these streaming services continue to become not only the form factor in which they want to deliver the distribution of the content after the theater, it's like that's going to be the bigger question is, well, how big an audience do you have? I'm more likely as a production studio who's looking to not only push my own streaming service, but also say, well, this content's only going to be available here. I mean, that's the whole tie-up with, the MGM and Amazon trying to buy that content. But even apart from that, what about an independent filmmaker that's trying to look to reach the biggest audience, where you can go to a Netflix or a Disney?
Yep.
But that immediately now makes, Warner Brothers or Universal, who may be dealing with HBO Max or Peacock, and they may say, well, I'm not going to put my stuff on there because nobody's going to watch it because y'all don't have a lot of subscribers.
Yeah.
And so
You go to Netflix or Disney.
Right.
Well, you can't go to Disney because it has to be family
But then
content.
does that create a bottleneck? Does that create a bottleneck in which it's like, okay, the very same monopoly that all these production studios were complaining that the theaters had with the 90-day release, and we can make more if we put it on a streaming service after 30 days, and because that's still not going away. that deal is inked in
Oh yeah, it's there.
stone. It's like you have the production studios who made the deal with the theaters. It's like 30-day minimum.
Yeah,
and then after that we get to choose. But are we?
But even that's
see
smaller than it used to be because it did used to be 90 days,
90,
and
yeah.
they've recently gone down to the 30 because theaters had to haggle for something.
right? And I mean, but again, when are production studios going to be pointing the gun at themselves because they don't have the subscriber base that they're looking for?
Well, that's why they are reaching out to different directors, producers, or even independent audiences to create that content. Like, look, we'll pay you this much or purchase the rights to this so that we have this original content for Apple or HBO, or I mean, Apple definitely needs it.
Yeah.
I mean,
If I wasn't getting that for free, I wouldn't be paying for
mine
it.
has to be renewed this month, and I'm canceling it because I'm not. I know it's only $5, but I'm like, there's nothing on there at all.
Yeah.
Well, and
It's way better if you bundle it with your Apple Music and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I mean, then you got Apple Arcade Music.
right.
I mean,
And
it's
I'm just
cheaper
not.
that way.
I'm just
they're
not
going
ready
that
to pay that price tag yet.
Well, they just
So-
don't. They don't have a back catalog. All
Yeah.
their stuff is new.
The only thing on there I'm interested in
everything
is
on
Lisi's
there-
story, and I
Yeah.
can get that another way.
Yeah, but
so.
even all their good shows that are on there, it's been Apple TV's been out for what 2 years,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's only one season of each show on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
C is the
Well, Ted
hands
Lasso's now got a
It's
new
got
one
a
coming
second
out.
Yeah,
season
but I mean,
now.
The
God,
morning
like,
show. Well, yeah, and
all
but
the good ones only
right.
got one season, and the
Yeah.
rest of them are still in production.
The
hell.
Witcher does too.
Yeah, I know.
But here's the thing: Netflix has tons of other crap,
Mhm.
and not to mention, I think too that you're seeing, some of these people like, because that's kind of what I'm more.
did y'all hear Lovecraft County got
canceled. Yep.
Yeah,
Which one?
People
is
are
that
mad
one?
about that too.
Lovecraft County.
Which
it
one was
It
that
was on
about?
Netflix.
Netflix originally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It was. I
no,
never
it had,
watched
like,
it.
No, that was on
favorable-
HBO.
No, it was at HBO.
It
one,
was
wasn't
HBO
Yeah.
Max. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it just a lot of people liked it and it got
It's
canceled?
very
was
popular.
It was very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never watched it, but yeah, a lot of
I didn't
people are
either.
mad that it's been canceled.
I didn't hear about it. Now I
It
want
was
to
like
watch
supposed to be some like Lovecraftian horror monster thing
Apocalyptic
happening
story,
in the
yeah.
like deep south
Huh.
with racism and all
Mhm.
kinds of stuff. Of course.
it. Well, it got canceled because nobody watched it. I guess everybody who raved about it
Everybody's racist.
was the only one who
Nobody
watched
wanted
it.
to watch it. I don't know.
All I know is I do think it's an interesting dilemma that I think the production studios are in, because I think the theaters are more your best friend in the sense that they just want something that's, crush that can.
That's good.
They just want your money.
They
But so
want
does
your
the
money.
production company.
Yeah.
At least the theater's honest about it.
Well, but the theater has a wide array of options.
Yeah.
And just like with Stubbs A-List, it's like we know we can go in a month and see from, if 3 production studios put out a major film and it's a
Yeah.
blockbuster for
Yeah.
them in that month, we can go see all 3 of them for that subscription price.
One of them's paid for our price.
Exactly.
I mean-
Whereas if you're looking for a streaming service, you either have to subscribe for that month or get a free trial with another made-up email address. and which
That's
is,
what I do when there's something on Peacock or Paramount I want to watch. I just do a free trial because
Yeah.
there's nothing on either of those to justify that subscription.
Yeah.
unless you like wrestling. I'm just gonna say that again.
Wrestling.
Unless you
They
like
have free
wrestling.
stuff on because I've watched some of the free wrestling stuff on Peacock.
I think
so.
theaters are gonna bust. I think it's gonna bust the doors down here in a couple of months. I think people are gonna run back to the theaters.
Oh, yeah.
I think they
I
already
think
are.
we even talked
look
about
at
it with
they
4th of July.
Look
We
at
talked
Black
about
Widow.
how buck wild people have gone with fireworks because they've been cooped up.
Oh, yeah.
I really think that people forgot what they were getting with the theater. It's happening at the drive-in right now. The Georgetown drive-in is
Oh, yeah, they're packed.
And it's like I think it's going to happen with theaters. People are going to come running back to the theater.
I actually,
I mean, absolutely. I was just saying, look at like the pre-orders for Black Widow already. They're going to. I think people are going to be running back.
I think Patty Jenkins is tapping into the heart of it, and I agree with her in this sense. I don't think people are going to be just running back to get out. I think they are because there's strings of films that are coming out that people wanted to see. But I think the production studios are going to realize how much money they're making in the theaters from these people going to see them. That's money they're leaving on the table when they're only asking for a $5 a month subscription.
right.
And it's millions of dollars that they are leaving out.
500 million worldwide so far.
exactly.
F9. I
And-
mean, it's cracked $500 million.
And so I just think that when you include subscribers that have already subscribed and you think if they're there for the back catalog, well, then we're serving that need. Why would we shoehorn? I mean, even Disney, we criticize them, but it's like they're pretty much subsidizing the movie that's being released on their streaming service in addition to the subscription price because they want to make sure they get the price that they paid for the movie.
You don't get Black Widow for free if you have a Disney Plus subscription. It has to pay that $30 premium. So I'd rather go see it in the IMAX where it's cheaper.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy. Isn't that
but
crazy?
without
pricing themselves out.
With Netflix and Amazon and with HBO Max, the ones that have been giving those movies for free, if they're pushing those movies to theaters and not giving them for free, then they should be able to lower their subscription fees because they are not giving us
their subscription
Godzilla
fee
versus Kong.
was that before they started doing that. So they would just say, well, that was always what
was
we
an
did.
added value.
Netflix has constantly gone up.
Oh, yeah.
HBO,
it hasn't yet. I'm sure they will at some point, but
it's interesting. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to see. But I don't know. I think she's hitting on a good point, and I think she's right. I think streaming, I think you'll see it intermittently. I don't think it'll be every major release.
Well, I was just saying I disagree with her in the fact that she says it won't continue. I think it will continue in some form, just not as large scale as it is now.
And I think you'll see these studios make deals with theaters on certain properties where they can manage the risk of, well, we know we're going to make, we can, I think it's just going to be a new business structure in the world of cinema going, and it's going to be how much money can we make in the theater and how much can we make on the streaming service. Oh, this movie would actually be popular in both. Well, let's do that. Let's have a same day release, maximize that profit, and then we're in good shape. Oh, this one's going to be a big blockbuster. We're putting that in IMAX only. That's Avengers. We know we're going to make billions off of this.
It's worked for most of HBO Max's films. It worked for Cruella. So I mean, I do think you'll see that where people are just like, do it both ways. We'll get the best of both worlds.
Alrighty, guys. I think that's going to do it for our talking headlines. Yeah. Let's move on.
What are we talking about?
That multimedia segment.
Multimedia.
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 Just noticed the little hearts on there. I just never noticed that before.
We love technology.
We love it.
We love
Multimedia.
We love that technology.
Well, multimedia is more than just technology.
True.
It encompasses a grand scale of things.
I love multimedia, man. It's just great.
I think that I want to know what we're discussing in this week's multimedia segment.
How secure? No, it's not a table because
the
Edie
dog.
just
it'll take beer. It'll take a dog headbutting it. It's a pretty good table.
How secure is too secure, guys? Well, you're gonna fail in life, and someone's gonna hack you.
I forgot that was Mario. I honestly, and I don't know why, because I know that's never been one. But I honestly thought
be game over.
Yes, I honestly thought it was Aliens for a minute, and I'm like, I don't know why, because I know that's not on there.
That's one I can. I'll put that on there.
Game over, man.
I'm not gonna put it's working on there.
It's working.
But I'll do game over. That'll be better than the Mario sound.
Is there such a thing as too secure? I mean, what are we talking about here? We're talking about like living in the middle of nowhere with a nuke bunker and shelves of, I have a VPN, and I don't think it's too secure. I think I definitely need that VPN. So
that's true.
Ooh, that's
especially
actually a good
when
point.
when you
let mine
download.
I've had my information stolen.
When you download what?
Download
screeners. But even outside of that, I've definitely had
our special Red Moon login.
That's right.
We have a Red Moon portal.
That's right.
Where we get all of our screeners.
But I have had my information stolen before. I've had people like buy stuff like with my debit card and had to contact the bank and be like, I didn't spend $1,000 at some lingerie store in California. I don't live in California.
Well, maybe you did.
Actually, here's the funny thing. It was purchased in Taiwan, so this is
Fredericks of Hollywood.
But the person in Taiwan bought something from lingerie in California. So either there's some Asian in Taiwan that really wanted this lingerie, or they had a VPN themselves.
You can't get lingerie in Taiwan.
Yeah, I think they had their own VPN that said they were in Taiwan buying stuff in California.
Thailand?
It was Taiwan.
Oh yeah. There's no lingerie there.
But anyways,
Chinese
I've
are cracking down on that.
So I definitely appreciate my VPN because I'm like, I don't want people taking my crap because that's not cool.
Taiwan is not its own country. Remember that.
That's right.
Otherwise, you got
to
get
get
online.
why
and
you
apologize
just
for it.
said Taiwan.
Listen,
it
Chinese territory.
That's right.
When I looked it up, it said Taiwan.
All right, John Cena.
We apologize.
still sucked in F9.
Yeah. Hey, he doesn't look bad in Suicide Squad.
My best impression of Chinese.
That was great.
I could do.
Right off the top.
Yeah.
Hey, if you don't scat at the beginning of the headlines music, I'll let you speak.
You just gotta do that.
Chinese.
It's like Aristocats. I love that. It's racist now, but
Yes,
I
it
still
is.
love that
No,
scene where he's like,
it's-
"I'm going to eat fortune cookie, always wrong." I'm like, I know it's racist, but I still think it's funny.
Hey,
Is
to
Lady in the Tramp, is
appropriate-
that racist too? We are Siamese.
Actually, yes, they
Yes.
consider that
Oh, yeah,
racist too.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Gosh,
they
To-
were
hey,
Siamese cats.
you can't
to
say
appropriate
anything
is to
anymore.
appreciate. Okay, That's
I
all we're gonna
agree.
say. Absolutely. But anyways, I actually let my VPN expire.
Oh no.
Oh,
and
man.
I
it's
didn't
weird.
because I had the auto renew on and forgot about it.
I
So then
bought,
when I
like-
got that
I
like
bought 4
$70 price
Yep.
tag out of my
Yeah.
bank account, I was like, crap. It's like, well, at least I have enough money to cover it. I'm just gonna let it be.
Yep. Because you know you're
I'm still-
safer without it.
I'm using the
Safer with
VPN.
it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Without
use it anyways. I didn't mean to leave the auto
Now,
renew on, but
are you Express VPNers?
I am.
I
yeah.
am.
Okay.
I'm an Express VPN.
See, I do Nord.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard
There's-
good things about Nord.
And there's
I love
Tunnel
it.
Bear. Tunnel Bear's one.
Yeah.
That's I find all the ones that I listen to YouTube and
Yeah.
podcasters.
So
Nord, you
far-
just
and they
pay for
promote
like
them.
3 years of it at a time.
Oh really?
Yeah.
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 ExpressVPN's a year annual subscription, but I've been really like, I mean, it's great. I love it
Yeah.
so far. So
I thought about actually using it for like while we're doing the show.
yeah.
But I just know that sometimes depending on the VPN connection, it can
Oh,
throttle
it'll
you.
Yeah.
it'll yeah.
And so I was like, I don't want to throttle my connection, although it wouldn't be that bad considering what I get.
You'd see us all
Yeah.
pixelated on
Yeah.
the screen. And
But
you do that thing where like I'd move and like my face would still be in the camera, but I'd have
It's
like
a-
part over here.
But it's funny because it's like you talk about the VPN in the sense that it's like that probably is one of the more secure things you could do when you're on internet traffic.
Yeah.
Whereas sadly, it's like I'm secure in a lot of other ways, but like I have, on my PC, I've got your typical antivirus and malware software.
Sure.
But then on like
It might work.
my even just like a simple passcode on like your phone.
Yeah.
I used to not even be one of those people. I was just like, no, it's more convenient when I pick it up and it's already good.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, with Face ID and,
Definitely, yeah.
it's like, no, I understand now how easy it is. We were talking about before the show, with the pipeline hack. And it's like, no, I don't personally probably have anything of value that some hacker would really want. So that's why I almost kind of consider it. You have to
Yeah.
think about it in tiers.
Well, you're American. They want your identity.
It's true. I mean,
How else are they gonna
to buy
vote?
lingerie. And,
Very good. Very good.
That was very good.
Sorry. Had to.
Yes. It's like, I don't know. My credit cards are fine. My bank account hasn't been touched, but somebody voted for Biden in my name.
We are not
That was good.
saying that the election was rigged. Just saying.
No.
We just want to clarify.
Just saying people voted for it illegally.
Yeah, we are not saying the election was rigged. Just want to clarify.
Hey, I mean, dead people vote for everybody.
We are not saying
plan on
the
voting.
election was rigged in any way.
I was just gonna say I plan on voting when I die.
Well, yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's like you could still vote.
We are
You're
not
still
saying
American.
the election was rigged in any way.
All right.
All right. We can
quit.
move on. We can move on. So
What about? I mean, does
what
it
do you
have
all
to
do?
be? Does it have to be security with your devices? I mean,
No.
I mean, any type of security.
I mean,
yeah.
it's just like if you wear underwear that's too tight, that's too secure.
That is, I agree.
Mm.
You can't be,
Cuts off
you
your
can be
circulation.
too secure with your drawers.
Yeah.
I this might be slightly off. I have to ask this because
Oh God.
somebody I know posted this. I mean, it was kind of a joke, but they posted it online. It's a legitimate business that sells this underwear now that basically have like a
Yeah.
separate pouch, a
Yes.
hammock for your nutsack.
Yes.
Because it keeps it from sticking to your leg and getting sweaty, and
Yes.
it just all. And I'm like, I
I'm
don't.
sold.
They're on Facebook. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
Would you buy a pair?
No.
Okay.
They have a flap.
He said, "Yep."
Yeah.
They have a hole for your ding dong, and then you lift the flap, and it's just there,
Yeah.
and then you just cover it back up with the flap.
But the flap is like the flap just loose fabric. It's
Oh, yeah.
not Velcro.
No, it's not Velcro.
or
No,
It's
no,
just
I haven't
tucked
seen
or-
that.
It's tight. It goes.
Mine,
covers
yeah,
it up.
the ones I've seen are just like like with regular briefs where you have like you can pull the thing to
Oh
the
no, no,
side.
no. Yeah, no.
Oh, no.
These have a hole cut out for your.
Oh no, I haven't seen
Yeah.
those. I've just seen like their normal underwear, but they have like a pouch that you just put
I-
your junk in the pouch.
I'm
and it
curious enough.
I just don't
and
know if I
wanna
like the
support
feeling
people.
of my pouch just being cradled in there. I don't know if I like
okay,
that.
but it could be the same feeling
It's
of
too
switching.
secure. secure, Sean. So my
here's the
testicles will
thing.
be too secure.
It could be changing.
I love Google.
How are you? Yeah, what are you writing into
Well, it's
Google?
just I just put men's underwear with, and the immediate thing that popped
Ball
up was
sack?
ball holder.
It's a new
Men's
thing.
underwear with a ball
It's a
holder.
new thing.
Yes.
it is.
No,
Yeah.
here's the thing. It could be like switching from briefs to boxers to boxer briefs. Like they're all subtle differences, but I much prefer boxer briefs.
Yeah, I wear boxer briefs.
Whereas I used to wear boxers when I was in like
It's
middle
too
school,
loose.
and it's
it's not secure enough.
right.
But I
And
feel
so-
like these, it's kind of like going back to, well, I guess it's not really going back to tidy whities
No,
it
because they
doesn't,
have a
it doesn't
pouch.
press it against you. But I just,
Tidy whities are too close to women's underwear for me. I got to feel a little bit on my thigh.
the thing with tidy whities is because it doesn't have the legs, so everything just bunches up, and like I hate it because then all your junk is just smashed into your pelvis, and I hate it.
True.
And that's what I fear with this. It's like I'm afraid that it's going to be too
I'm
much
gonna,
on my.
I'm actually
know.
gonna withdraw what I just said. My comment. I'm willing to actually. I need to try.
I'll buy a
tidy
pair.
whities again.
Well, I'm not trying tidy whities. I'll buy
I've
a pair
not
of those
had
and try
tidy
those.
whities in a long time.
Not going back to those, but I will try
You'll
maybe
try
a pair
the ball
of these.
holder. Should we all get a pair and try them on the show?
We're gonna do
Why
like
don't we
show
do
people
it?
like how.
I'm having such a hard time finding
Finding-
a picture of the actual thing I want, and versus
we'll-
everything else
we'll
that's
order-
showing
Is
up.
it too X-rated
Like
to
there's
show?
so much. Yes.
We'll order a
It's
pack and we'll
absolutely
eat.
too
Well,
X-rated.
that's the problem. We can't order a pack because we might all wear
I've never
different
seen
size
so many dicks
underwear.
in my
So
life. Like this is crazy.
I've never
Like,
seen
it's
so many
just-
dicks.
I mean, it's like I can't find underwear.
this is not
It's
the
like all
security
I
that
don't
people
know what
thought
this
we would be
is.
talking about.
NordVPN sponsored this episode.
NordVPN and testicle sack. I mean,
I can't keep looking
your
I mean, I just can't
underwear.
stop.
Nord
Where
protects
are
your
these
sack.
underwear? My
okay?
God, they've been on my Facebook page for months.
All I hear, I don't know.
Hold on.
I don't think
I'm glad
that's too
someone else
secure.
knew what I was
Amazon.
talking about, though.
I bet I find them on.
Oh yeah, Amazon
Yeah,
has
it's-
everything.
Do you not remember the company now?
No, there's a couple of them now. Like
Okay.
it's becoming like a new
It's a trend.
Yeah.
I
It's kind of like,
honestly-
you know how like they had the trend of the underwear where like you had like the elephant trunk and the different stuff you could put.
Yes, yeah,
Which
yeah.
that was stupid. Like that served no purpose other than to be funny. These are actually a legitimate thing where like
Well, and here's
they
the
hold
thing.
your,
I'm
your,
like, okay,
your junk.
I just adjusted myself now.
Well, you wouldn't have to do
and
that with these. It wouldn't stick.
That's
to
what
the
I'm
s-
saying.
It wouldn't stick to the side of your
There's
leg.
if there's enough fabric in between, you know, the penis, the shaft, and the scrotum.
Well, no, there's not fabric, but you put like, all of your junk goes into the pouch.
You found it?
Okay, see, mine didn't have the hole in the front like that. Yeah, the ones that I seen.
Well, show it to the camera to at least get an idea. Show it to the camera.
See, yeah, show it to the camera.
you
The ones,
sure?
the
yeah,
ones,
yeah, we're not gonna get.
Yeah, that's
we're,
not-
we're
it's just
if it's
underwear.
just underwear.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get.
Let me get it.
the ones
here.
I saw are just one pouch that your whole junk goes into. This has a separate pouch for your testicles and your
I mean,
your
that,
penis.
That
So-
straight up looks like you're about to screw it.
Yeah. That's not the pair I saw. I definitely wouldn't like that where they're separate. I'd prefer the one pouch where the whole thing goes
Yeah,
in.
I mean, because here's the thing. I don't know how you all are, but depending on the time of the year, I don't have really enough. I don't have enough.
The brand is called Sepratech.
Sepratech.
Sepratech. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know.
Well, here's my
Sepratech.
problem is I don't know if I have enough to kind of. I'd have to truly finagle.
You don't have enough to fit in it.
Well, I definitely have enough. I hope.
I thought that's what you were going to say. I was just
No,
like,
I don't.
whoa.
I don't. Well, it depends. If I get out of a cold shower or a hot shower and it's
Yeah.
cold, they shrivel, and then all of a sudden you're
Your
standing
underwear
there.
don't fit.
Yeah, and then I'm like,
Then
and
you
then
just bought
throughout the
those for
day,
nothing.
what happens if like they're adjusting to the weather and now all of a sudden my
No.
ball sack's loose and they get into the wrong hole?
Well, they'll
What
be in this
hap-
pouch. No, no.
No, what
no,
if they
no.
don't go in the pouch? What if they go to the wrong one?
Well, no, no, because you put them in there when you put the underwear on.
But-
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
stay in
saying
Your
there.
but I'm
balls
s-
only go where you put them, Brandon.
Well,
They don't
yes,
get out on their own.
But if your balls are so like they like constrict inside
Okay, well, I've never
you,
had a
then
problem.
again,
It-
this
yeah.
is what I'm talking. It's too secure.
Yeah, I've never had.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
I don't know if
Maybe
it would
mine
work.
just hang a little low, but I've never had a problem where I feel like they would pull up out of this pouch. Like the pouch is pretty big. Like,
Okay.
No,
it's
I'm not.
made.
I'm not
let's-
worried
yeah.
about them pulling out of the pouch. I'm worried about getting them in there securely when I put the
Without hurting
underwear
yourself.
on,
I mean,
without having to really get down there and like kind of warm them up.
Yeah, I don't know how you would really
know?
pull the pouch back and make sure it goes in
up.
there.
what
I
do
don't need to
you
warm mine
do?
up either.
What
but
do
I,
they run on diesel or something? You gotta put a glow rod in
Brandon,
there?
Brandon has some issues.
I'm trying to be honest.
Let's talk about parental security.
Let's talk about security
on kids' internet.
We've talked about testicle security enough.
Let's go
We're
from
literally
balls
going
to
to go
kids.
from ball sacks
Absolutely.
to kids.
I mean,
now
why not?
we're probably going to get banned.
Why not? So I just
mean,
put,
it's only appropriate.
I
We
just
just
put
got
my
out of
old
Pride
iMac
Month.
in
this is a-
Sawyer's
it's a
room,
good topic.
and now I'm trying to
Make sure
figure
that
out
he
how
can't
to
get
set
on
up
there.
the parental controls because they're too secure, all of them. It's like I have he has these he has this website that he goes to called KBH Games, and it's like kids JavaScript games online. And he goes to the website, and of course, if I turn all the parental settings off, it lets him run these games. But if I have even the slightest little bit of like lockdown on the computer, he starts the games up, and of course I have to walk upstairs and put my username and password in so that he can play a freaking race car game.
Yeah.
And it's like
It's got JavaScript.
Yeah.
They don't know what that is. They're like, oh man, JavaScript. He might be getting into porn
or something like that. So it's there's
not
not a real
sophisticated
no. There's not a really good unless you get in there and manually type in the websites that he's allowed to go to. But then if that website opens up a pop-up to play the game
but
or whatever, then that's a separate
The pop-up's
URL.
gonna get blocked.
Yeah, it's separate. It gets popped or blocked or whatever. So yeah, I mean, same thing with like Prodigy Math. He gets on there and plays these math games, and he can't play them. So
actually, I
I've got
think
to unlock
there's
it.
also, I think, a problem too with sometimes it's also the frustration of when I want to get on there, and it's like, okay, if it's parentally locked,
Yeah,
but then
Then
I
you have
can't
to
go to a
enter a password.
website, and then I've got to go through the trouble of taking it, and they need like I would agree. Apple needs to come up with this. Seems like something perfect for
And
them.
here's the
it's
thing.
their software, like their
see?
built-in parental
And
guide.
I guarantee you, it wouldn't be that hard. I know they could say, well, for it to differentiate, it's like I think we have technology enough that's smart enough to be able to tell.
To be able to, when Sawyer gets online and he looks up underwear with a separate ball sack, I don't want it to come up.
yeah.
But when he gets on there and wants to look at Marvel Avengers, it shows it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When I was exploring the glory days of internet, pioneering like Odell Lake,
You got into everything, didn't you?
Yeah,
I know I did.
You know what I'm saying? That's like my parents had software on the computer.
My parents did too.
But it wouldn't even let me look up defleopard.com. I wanted
Yeah.
to get on there and read
Yeah.
about their next album that was coming out, and it was blocked because it's
Yeah.
an adult website. I'm like, no, it's not. It's freaking Def Leppard.
Yeah, it's not
But-
intuitive enough.
No,
a lot of them,
no.
whether it's, and this is what kind of makes me mad. I mean, we have all these standardizations, whether it's like with, an HDMI cable or USB, like all these peripheral, input devices. But when it comes to something like, parental controls, where you almost, I wish there was like a company who spearheaded an idea of like working with all these different industry tech giants and working on a way, because it would be like some would be better than others. Like it would be cool if you sat down at your iMac and your son couldn't get on that webpage because it noticed it had facial recognition
That
and
it
it
was
noticed. But when you sit down in front of it,
Yeah.
you hit refresh, boom, it pops open the
mean,
website.
all
You don't have
Macs
to
have
go
the
and
camera
turn
on
off
them.
something.
All Macs have a camera
Yes.
on now. They could
Yeah.
do Face ID on it, or my Mac unlocks. Like if it senses I am wearing my watch, I don't have to put my password in. It automatically
you're-
unlocks my profile.
Proximity.
If
yeah.
it senses I have my watch on, then okay, we don't have to.
That's legit.
And
We
here's the
don't- I
thing
didn't
too.
even
But
know that.
even
But I
if-
mean,
even
why
if-
can't they sense that and be like, okay, he's wearing an Apple Watch. That's the adult. We don't have to put the
or
the
say
sen- the
even say he's
security
too
measures on
close.
there.
You're close. You're right there next to him, and it's like, well, we don't know if this is the kid or he's just taking advantage of his dad being right there beside him, even though the dad's not watching. But he clicks on it, and then it sends you a notification on your watch, and you're like,
Yeah, just click it.
okay, he's cool.
That would be even better.
It's
Then
like
you wouldn't have
that
to get
way-
up if he got on there and
Yep.
it pops up a message on your watch. Is it okay for him to do this? All you have to do is hit yes.
This is the thing. We're sitting here and thinking of this. Literally, I just bought the new Apple TV 4K.
Mhm.
Like I've got the new streaming box. It's amazing. You can literally walk up to the television with your iPhone and hold your iPhone up to a colored block on the screen, and it uses the camera from your phone to color grade the TV
Yep.
or color calibrate the TV. It's fantastic. If you have a lip sync issue, you can literally put the phone up to your speaker and it plays a sound and it determines how far the speaker is and it
Yeah.
syncs the sound to the
I have a little
signal
microphone
or
for
whatever.
my surround
It's
sound that does
freaking
that.
amazing.
Yeah.
And they can't think
Oh,
of
they could.
that.
They could.
They could.
But
Yeah.
again, parental controls are just kind of like an afterthought. It's like, oh yeah, they're there and they're convenient. Like I don't think they're an
now
afterthought.
we're getting into the worldview thing.
Yeah. Well,
It's like-
I don't know if they're an afterthought as much as they're just not their concern. because it's like, okay, yeah, parental controls are there, but now it's up to you to go and figure them out and deal with it.
Kids couldn't stumble across their content and accidentally buy it if there was a lock on it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
well,
true.
and we already know that issues existed in the past.
Yeah.
The other thing I was kind of wanting to throw out there, and I guess this will be our last one. We're running a little bit far.
Well, they have red, white, and blue starred ball sack underwear.
Nice.
Wait, but that
I'm
had
ordering those tonight.
and that had a separate pouch, or is it just a big sack?
So I did.
For both.
This is still multimedia. It's just not the same topic. I
It's
did
got a
just
pouch.
discover that Nintendo has announced their OLED model
Yeah,
of the Switch.
yeah,
so
they
that looks
announced
really.
that today.
I'm gonna check that out.
No,
God.
no,
I'm gonna check that out
actually,
when I get
yeah,
off.
But here's what sucks: it's still 1280 by 720 off the
Really?
stand, and it's 1080 when you plug it in. And I'm like,
No,
that's the same.
never
specs.
mind. I mean, I like the OLED, but until they make a 4K model, I don't
Right.
care.
I'm like, why would
the
you
screen already looks good enough to me.
exactly?
Yeah.
Why would you stick an OLED on the same device?
If you're not going to
Yeah.
make it at least
It-
1440 or something like
I was
that.
saying, if it should be 1080 when you undock it, 4K when you dock it.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Agreed.
Okay, I lost interest. Never
Yeah.
mind. Go
the
back.
the same chip that's in that.
I do like the
is
white
in
look though.
The
it's in
NVIDIA
the
Tegra.
NVIDIA Tegra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing in the NVIDIA Shield.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which can play 8K.
Yeah.
So there's no reason
They
that can't
could
play
have. They
8K.
just they
It's
didn't. so.
because I guarantee you a lot of their games don't support 4K. They're all
No.
1080.
Well, yeah, but that's why you start developing games for 4K.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
but the way that Nintendo is, they're so prim and proper
I
that
know.
they don't put out something until all their content across the
We
board.
want 4K. Give us 4K.
But no, I was going to talk about home security.
Go ahead.
Just in terms of like, obviously, I tried. I mean, you can get overboard, but I also think too that it's like
yeah.
with as many valuables that are in people's homes these
Yeah.
days, I don't even want to pretend
Here's the thing.
and put out a number what's in mine. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want people to know.
Absolutely.
But I think it's very important to be secure.
I think it was you I was discussing it with on Saturday, just how many within the same week, like how many shootings just around Dixie Highway where we live there had been.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, not even that many years ago. It's like that you might have like a shooting like every other month or something like that. Now it's
no.
like you're hearing about it every day and it's
Louisville
crazy.
is Detroit.
Yeah,
It's
well,
turning
I don't know
into
about
it.
that bad yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, it's crazy. And before it was like, do I need home security? It's like probably, but it's probably not like absolute. Now it's like, yeah, I kind of feel like I do need it because
Now that-
anymore, yeah, you don't
now
know
that
what
I
will
live in a
happen.
neighborhood, even though it's a nice neighborhood, we are getting another security system installed pretty
Yeah.
soon. I know a guy who does it, so it's not like it's hard for me to find. I'm not going with a big company. I'd rather stick with the little guy. But as far as like camera setups go, I am one that will go with the do-it-yourself Blink or the
Oh, yeah.
Wise. I have the Wise cameras.
Yeah.
And like I've got a wireless camera set like in my cart on Amazon. I don't have the money to buy them right now, but that's my goal is to get those so that they're kind of like the Blinks where they're battery powered and don't.
Well, and
require-
I was gonna say that's the only thing I've erred with Blink. I was gonna actually do Ring, and the only reason I didn't go with them was because I ended up selling my system.
Yeah, I have Ring now.
to Keith, but that was also because I had ADT
He
and
kept
they
ADT.
offered me a deal.
Mhm.
So I kept the ADT system, but their cameras are crap and ridiculous how much you got to pay.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'll go with a third party. Yeah, I got to use 2 separate apps, but I do like the Blink because they are wireless and they. Even though they
2-year battery
it's
life.
2-year battery
yeah.
life, and I've gotten the notification on my kitchen cam because that's where I leave my pup, and it tells me like high usage. But even it's been 6 months that I've had them now, and I'm like, if I get a year out of these batteries and got to change them because there's so much motion.
Well, the Wise cameras, you recharge them.
Well, and these, even if you could put rechargeable batteries in them, but even if I've got to change them out, and I'm like, it's once a year,
Mm-hmm.
that's that's
Heck
fine.
yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I mean, it serves a purpose of at least like, it's weird how I felt secure having ADT, but now I feel even more secure.
You have
One,
cameras,
just watching her, but even just being able to check in, drop in,
Mhm.
and see, motion or knowing if there is motion detected. I
Yeah.
can see. I've got a little hard drive set up to where it's just an external drive, but it dumps the clips, so I don't have to pay for cloud storage.
Yep.
But it saves little 10, 15-second clips, so if somebody does break in, boom, I've got footage of it. But it's I definitely would tout anybody getting, I would recommend that anybody get a camera system along with your security
yeah.
Oh,
for
yeah.
security purposes. It's definitely worth it. You can't be too secure, and like you say, Keith, especially living out here in the city, which I'm getting closer and closer to a few years from now moving out there in the boonies. I used to hate the country. Hated it. I wanted to be a city guy. I lived in the city my whole life, and I'm ready. I'm tired of paying high taxes. I'm ready to move to not too far from the city.
You don't have to go like way out, like out of civilization, but you can go somewhere that you're not putting up with the same bull crap, but everything's still close enough for you to be able to do what you want to do. Like Sean. I mean, Sean's in a good location.
Yeah.
Your brother, he's right down the road. That's a good location. That's not in Louisville, but still close enough to be able to do what you need
It's
to do.
convenient, but it's
could just
also not too small.
right in
either.
between us.
It's not like
We're just all
right
moving
right
to
in
Shepherdsville.
between your brother and me.
I would
and
like
then-
that.
Yeah, we
If
just
there
all
was
hang
land
out.
available.
We're all gonna move to Shepherdsville and have a big old redneck party.
Not only that, but it's also the fact that you got to think about. Yeah. I mean, it's like you get the convenience, but you don't get the crime wave. But also, one other thing I wanted to raise, real quick, last one, I promise.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Was I this year became a first-time gun owner.
Mm-hmm.
Proud to have my gun.
There, that's the security right there.
Definitely feel secure with having a gun. And
I don't know if I feel secure with you
yeah,
having
that's what
a
I was
gun.
gonna say.
well,
but
you all
feel
may
secure.
not. Don't worry. It may end up taking up that room in my ball sack.
It's like, I don't think those pouches are meant to carry your handgun. He's like Brandon shoots.
You're telling me you get underwear with a holster? Oh, hell yeah.
It's like you're rushing Brandon to the hospital. What happened? He shot his dick off.
Oh my god!
But my balls are good.
Yeah,
they were in a separate pouch.
Oh,
Freaking like bulletproof pouch.
Oh,
Alrighty, guys, that's gonna
this
do it for
this
this
podcast
episode.
got a little explicit.
well, you know,
it's been
I
a
mean,
while.
security that's a wide. It covers a wide.
I like how
range.
we
Wide
did
umbrella.
cover quite a different ideas of security here. On this, so.
I do like sometimes we get specific, but I like keeping it broad.
Yeah.
Because I think broad actually opens it up to let's just throw it out there. Let's
Heck yeah.
see what
Yeah.
comes out. But you know what? You all can always
From
shout
internet
out.
security, home security to testicle security. We had it all.
All
That's
the
right.
There is no too secure. You can never be too secure.
Hmm.
And you can never, ever be too ashamed to email us at Red Moon Podcast. Oh, I screwed it up.
Here, I got you.
He's got it.
Email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Mm.
He was ready that time.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have phlegm in my throat that time.
And we also have a sad announcement to make. It's not so sad because you'll be back, but it will just be Sean and me next week.
I almost forgot.
I thought he was going to talk about Richard Donner.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh.
Richard Donner passed.
We didn't mention him at all in this
No.
entire episode.
And he was a fantastic director. I do like some of quite a many of his films. Goonies,
Yeah, I told you guys,
Superman,
I was
That was a
watching
big
Goonies
one.
the night that he
Yeah.
died.
That's even
How weird
weirder.
is that?
That is bizarre.
Christopher Reeve, Superman.
Yep.
Man,
Wow.
good stuff.
And there's a Donner cut of the second movie.
Yes, and it's better than the.
It's way
It
better.
is his director's cut of the second is solid. So,
Rest
anyways,
in peace, Mr. Donner.
he is gone. Next week I will be gone for a
But
different
not
reason.
dead. You won't be dead, hopefully.
No,
The
you'll just be
Indians
a-
won't take
We
you.
kind of
Disney.
they kind of quit killing us and bringing us back. I think they got tired of it.
They were tired of our shenanigans.
Mm.
But you will be on vacation
I
in
will.
Florida.
And Florida,
Enjoy your time down there, but you will be back after.
I will still provide a review.
I was say
of
we're not
Black
leaving
Widow.
people without.
You won't hear my beautiful voice reading the review, but I will have it written. And Brandon or Sean, I assume Brandon, since Sean probably won't be here to record it.
I won't be here to
No.
record it.
So
I'll have to do it in my country voice.
Yeah, I'll be
Dude,
like,
Black
"Wait."
Widow.
it's like we watched
2.5. No, 4 stars.
we watched a Marvel movie. It was good. It had Scarlett Johansson.
I like her boobies.
Oh my god.
It
I
had-
had to go there.
It had Florence Pugh. I like her boobies too.
What boobies?
Oh,
Sorry.
alrighty, guys. There's our freaking social at the bottom of the screen. Red
Hey.
Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics, and search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. We have fun every week here on the Red
Yep.
Moon Podcast. We
Yeah.
love having you all here with us. Thank you all for joining us. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, and until next time, you can catch us on YouTube, then Facebook, and live everything. I butchered that.
Just catch
Here's our normal new host.
I don't even know.
Everything.
Yes, Sean Sebastian.
And
I like David Harbour's boobies too.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.